So guys, it's the fourth day and it is let it flow. We're gonna let it flow with our paints and of course on our journal, because after all, yeah, we did say that this was a journal challenge and we're working with our intuition. So today we work with my favorite medium, paint. We're going to be letting it flow. That's the title for our fourth day's adventure with our visual journal. So today you're going to need your paints. And of course, it doesn't matter. You can have acrylic paints, you can have poster paints, no oil paints, so yeah, it does matter a little bit. You're also going to be using a couple of brushes, or maybe not, I'm not so sure. We'll see how it goes. And of course, your visual journal. All right, I know that some of you have seen poured paintings around in the art world and the art scene today. And we're going to be doing an interpretation of that. We're not so sure what's going to happen because our wild muse is going to come out. So let's see where that goes. I'm going to just step ahead a little bit and show you a few, maybe about 2 or 3 examples of what our process can look like. But of course, remember, it's all about you. You're going to take the prompts and you are going to make it your own. So now we have a brand new page in our visual journals ready to go. And yes, we're leaving this blank white today. And of course, nice to haves, Sharpie markers. We spoke about that before. And super nice to have a little spray bottle where you can put some water in. Our main medium being paint, I have these big bottles of paint, and so what I had to do was to pour a bit inside of the cup, these plastic cups, and put a little bit of water in to make it really watery, and you'll see why in a minute. If you have poster paints, you can add water to those little cups of poster paints as well to do exactly what I'm going to be doing. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to just scoop up some water in my hand and I'm just going to wet the page. Now that looks crazy, right? You're just pouring a bunch of water all over this page here and making a mess. Isn't that awesome? Then I'm going to get my hands in and rub the water on the page so it spreads out. So the page is saturated with water right now. Some of the books that you have mightn't be able to stand up to so much pressure of extra water on it. But don't worry, guess what? The worst that will happen is that you leave it and then it dries out. I'm going to take my lightest color first, and that's my choice. That doesn't have to be your choice. And I'm just going to drip a little bit of the light color all around the paper. That's random. I'm not even planning this, as you know. And I'm just going to allow the water to just take the paint and push it around a little bit. If that is a little challenging, I'll just use my brush and help the paint to move around the page a bit. I'm not filling in everywhere. I'm leaving some space for the other colors to have some fun with this yellow. I'm now going to use my primary red. I didn't say it before, but I'm just using primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. And then I have one secondary color, which is the green. And I'm having some white as well, just for highlighting and making some of the colors maybe a little softer later, I don't know. But I just have it handy. And I'm going to do the same thing with the red. Just pour it. Just pour it. Whoa, that was a little bit more than I expected, but alright, here's what has to happen. I have to just go with it, you know. That's my inner muse doing her thing. I don't know who that was that did that, but I have to leave it. And I'm going to go with the secondary color. I'm going to go with the green. I'm going to go with the green because it just occurred to me that that red, yellow, and green combination is so typical of us in Jamaica, you know, coming out of the Rastafarian culture. Yeah, and then let me see what happens. I mean, when the green look at this, when the green is mixing in with the yellow, it's creating some nice little swirls. When the red mixing in with the yellow, we get a little bit of orange. We're gonna get what we used to call in art school back in the day, we call mud colors. Now I call them warm colors. You call them what you will. And I see the color swishing and swirling and moving around. Guess what I should have done, guys? Put a bunch of newspaper under the book. I forgot, I'm so sorry. Well, you're gonna do that in your own time. I'm gonna use the back of the paintbrush and push the colors around a little bit. Notice I'm not, you know, I said we were gonna use brushes, but you know, now I realize I want to use the back of the brush. So yeah, I'm using the brush. This just occurred to me to do, guys. So just follow your intuition. So I'm going to stop with moving the paint around a little bit. And normally what I would do if I had more time, I would just leave this paint just to let it dry on its own. But I'm going to take some paper towel and I'm just going to drop it on the surface and let it absorb some of the paint that is there. You can let it rest or you can pat it down. And what is nice is that when you use the paper towel like this and you pull the paper towel off, there's always a nice surprise in terms of just how the colors are actually responding. So watch this, nice textures. Most of the color came up and off the surface, and you see this is now textured painted paper that I'm going to save to use, I think, in activity number 6, either number 6 or number 7. This is valuable stuff, guys. So I'm adding a little white, like spice. The white is just a little spattering, just to give it a little bit of flavor, to add another layer of colors, and just because my inner muse felt like doing that. Now I'm gonna have to wait a little bit for this to dry because there are a couple of next steps that I want. In this one, I worked on it before and it's dried up. And now, just like when you're a little kid looking in the clouds and finding pictures, you're gonna look in your painting, your poured painting, to see what images come up to you. They're gonna be kind of abstract. This one I'm gonna outline it a little bit more again. It's an elephant shape that came up to me. And it's just by random, random paint pourings that it worked out like that. And then I'm seeing another little shape over here, some kind of anteater kind of look. I don't know. Looks very intuitive in the way it's interpreted here. And then, I mean, you can turn the paper around, and keep looking for different images and just have fun doing that. Example from my journal that I had done as well, the same poured painting technique, and then afterwards, going around and finding the shapes. It looks like 2 flowers, so therefore then I started doing these swishing marks with my brush as if it was grass. And then I'm going to show you, this one is quite a departure. This was the poured painting, and then I added oil pastels, but that's for another time. So there you have it, guys, pouring paint. It's all about just watching paint flow and watching colors change and being inspired. I hope you had some fun. Just a couple of things to tell you before you start working. Make sure you cover with newspaper because, as you see, it can get messy. When you pour your paint in your journal, remember the subsequent pages can also be colored, but not a problem, because what you'll be doing is preparing the surface, altering the surface for another inspired work. And then, of course, if it gets really soggy and you have to use some paper towel, remember to save what you mop up, because this is now raw materials for your next awesome masterpiece. And so have some fun, take your time, relax and breathe. Don't forget to have some wine for you and I. And see you again tomorrow.